The deal is this. Tell you, when I was a kid, that read Dropper Anton Wilson, all this real. Tell you, when I was a kid, that read Dropper Anton Wilson, all this real. Yeah, I'm pissed. Yeah, I'm pissed. Come on. What? Okay, by the time we finish this, you're all going to be practicing magicians.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I talk about X-Men. We are in the middle of arc in the new X-Men. I'm struggling to open my iPad while I'm talking, so I don't have to. Assault on Weapon Plus. That is the arc.
I'll take over, buddy. We're doing part 3 of 4 of Assault on Weapon Plus.
Nice.
Which I finally got ahead and read the rest of the arc. And I think if we're looking at just the Grant Morrison stuff in this, not the last 2 issues by Chuck Austen, then this is the worst arc in the series, I think.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Like, some people are like the last arc. I actually like the last arc.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be the Brave Iconoclast. Like, I was reading it again. I'm like, I kind of like it. This one I think is the worst one though. What do you think is the worst? If not this.
Man, I'm trying to figure out why you think this is the worst. Like, this is extremely like serviceable. Like, that kind of, there's some real questionable art thing that happens, but the idea of the world and everything, I think is really good.
It's
like,
super. I think it's an underdeveloped thing.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, like, I love the world, and then there's a reveal in the 4th issue, the next episode, which I think is exceedingly cool. When I say worst, it should be through the caveat that I love this run. It's my favorite run of X-Men of all time.
Yeah.
So, like, worst still means, readable to me. So
you just need to shit on something in a podcast. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that
yes, you got my number, man.
I'm gonna go leave a 1-star review for this podcast. My co-host is always too negative.
Starting reviews with my co-host is very funny. That's a really good idea.
I am surprised you and Will have not done that for. I know you don't read reviews, but like you should go ahead and review everything to Guppy right now and like wait for him to see that.
I'm going to now. Like, it's so funny, and he doesn't listen to this show, so that's gonna be great. Like, it'll be a nice surprise for him. So I don't think he listens to the show. He might.
Who knows?
So this is. I mean, I still think this is pretty good, but I do think it's probably the weakest. Even though there are amazing ideas in it. I wish it was like 6 issues long and had a different art team.
I do wish it was longer. As far as the worst arc goes, the next arc after this one, I think is some of my least favorite stuff, and we'll get into
the
why.
Mark Silvestri stuff.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah. So I guess to catch everybody up, we have been following Cyclops and Logan and Phantom X into the world, ostensibly to find out information about Logan's past, but also to locate Weapon 15, Weapon XV, and try to prevent him from destroying all mutant kind and going nuts. As we start this issue, time in the world has been frozen. So that's something that the world can do. The world is basically a experimental laboratory that allows them to like jump through millennia worth of evolutionary steps in a heartbeat if they wanted to. It's nuts in there, Gary. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is super nuts. There are tons of ideas about this. This does feel like this whole arc feels a little bit like a Vertigo pitch that like Grant Morrison couldn't get greenlighted to me or something, that like kind of got stuck into the X-Men. Because they're really cool ideas here. Initially, the way this opens up, like the action between what happened in the last issue and this one is a little bit hazy, but like, individual images of this and ideas are actually pretty cool. Like, I love the opening page of this, even from an art perspective. Like, I'm a Chris Bacallo apologist generally, even though I don't think this is his best work. I like this double page spread of like just a weird stiff profile shot of this gigantic like Mega Man boss.
Yes.
Frozen in time. And these things are called car cops, which is when you put a whale brain to drive around a like RoboCop mech.
Yes.
To do law. That's rad as hell.
That is good. That is good stuff.
Yeah.
Except you made it a cop. Like, you should just let this thing just be an evil guy, not a cop. But
yeah. Well, the world's going to have cops because it's bad.
Yes. And the design on this looks just like you said Mega Man boss and RoboCop, and that nails the aesthetic that we're going for. Like, you see an exposed brain with a bunch of wires. It has long medical tentacles that end with fleshy eyes, which, like, let me just gobble all of that up. Let me just take this aesthetic.
Yeah. It's good. So this is Phantom X and Cyclops walking through, and kind of again just kind of doing exposition here. Catching up, more stuff on the world, which again is one of the reasons, the things of this arc is I feel like this should have been in the first issue of this arc. Kind of explaining some of this stuff. They've hinted at it before, but they're hinting at it more here. The kind of twin things here is explain the world, like they can speed up time to do artificial evolution, and that Cyclops does not have his groove back, like he cannot use his powers right now.
Yeah.
That's
one thing that bugs me. Did they ever explain why that is? Like, because I've read ahead today too, and I just they don't ever talk about why, unless I missed it. And like, it's real easy to, in this issue specifically, like there's things that are going on in the art that they aren't talking about and they don't say that they're doing, and it's really difficult to figure out what some of that is because of how busy it is. But like, they never ever mention like, oh, you can't use your powers because you're sexually frustrated or because your wife broke up with you or whatever it is. Like, I guess that's kind of hinted at from the very first issue, but we don't know, and it seems kind of weird not to. Well,
and when it goes away, it just goes away.
Yeah.
Like the next time he uses his powers, like there's not really any discussion about it. Like, yes, he's like letting loose, and he talks about how he's like no longer feeling repressed and his powers come out, but they don't really draw an underline under it.
What if
I think that the idea is, I think you're right though. I think that's the idea.
What if it's just like you have, like every time you have a hangover, you can't use your powers anymore? Right? What if you just wake up and you're like, oh God, I feel like shit and I can't fly anymore. Why did I drink all that tequila?
Good reason to stop drinking.
Right?
Like if I couldn't fly when I was hungover. I mean, that's basically what happens to me now, except instead of fly, it's walk. Like hangovers are so horrible to me now that I avoid them pretty strenuously because they get way worse as you get older.
Yeah, instead of losing my superpowers, I lose the ability to be a person for about 8 hours solid. Like, the only person I communicate to is Autumn, and she's usually in the exact same spot I am, which is great. So we can reminisce together.
I lose the superpower of being away from the bathroom for more than an hour at a stretch. Which is a superpower I take for granted.
Hey Gary, we're both turning 40 this year. I think that's gonna be gonna be a permanent debuff to us.
Forward. Hey, sigmoidoscopy, bro.
That's the mod that you need for your Darkest Dungeon playthrough. It's the one that where one of your party members has to run to the bathroom every 4 steps.
You can get the trots and the runs and stuff in that game. Like, you can get that as a disease. Like, so it's like you'll be just there and you'll like a clam will hit you really hard and it'll be like the runs. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Wait, are you talking about Dark Souls 1 or Darkest Dungeon? Because I think both of those.
Darkest Dungeon. Yeah. You unfortunately there's no the runs in Dark Souls. Get on an Iron Pineapple, make a comedy video.
Sure.
About that. Cyclops is basically saying like, hey, I can still be effective because I'm a trained X-Men. And they're just like, yeah, Phantom X is not buying it. Like, martial arts and a commanding voice is not going to carry the day here. We're up to serious shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like we continue this conversation, and I like this because it's Scott kind of standing up for Logan, who is MIA in the first few pages of this, and then just shows up without, like, I thought, like, where's Logan at? But like, he's just went ahead a little bit. But he's basically telling Phantom X, like, hey, I'm here to watch Logan's back because I don't trust you, and I figured like you're going to be just like everybody else in his life and just try to use them as this indestructible beast, when in reality it's taken him years to put himself together and to regain his dignity, and I don't want him to lose that just because like you have a wild hair up your ass. And I think it's so insightful of Scott, and it's like we've talked a lot about his and Wolverine's friendship, and I guess now in like the current canon it's implied that him and Jean and Wolverine are like a poly couple thing, which is really weird to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It came up because the Powers of 10 thing, I guess there's a diagram in one of the Hoxbox issues, and like their 3 bedrooms are connected where nobody else's are. And then somebody in the Slack channel, and forgive me, I can't remember who it was, kind of said that it's also being implied in some of the post Hoxbox stuff, which I find fascinating. But whatever. Yeah, is the way to respond to that.
Yeah.
But I just we've talked a lot about them being kind of grudging friends, but that have a respect for one another, but don't necessarily like each other that much. And it's just really like it's played very well. Like this this writing is very good to me.
Yeah, Grant Morrison, master of characterization, like when he wants to be. You know, like this is the best that Wolverine and Scott's relationship has ever been.
Yes,
in my opinion. You know, regardless how much they fuck in the current comics. Like I think this is their closest. You know, Phantom X is basically like saying, like, you know, the reason why I'm doing this, you know, I think that what happens here might kill him. He's no good to me dead, so I'm not telling him everything. Like Scott's basically saying, just tell him what you know. That's something that doesn't quite pay off as well as we want it to either. You know, in terms of things from this arc that are set up.
Yeah,
like we're gonna get to where like Wolverine finds out what he finds out, but it doesn't seem like it's that revelatory to me. When we get there.
No. And of course, like when you fast forward a couple of years when they actually do those issues and you see the origin of Wolverine, like it kind of comes off as just like a wet fart, basically. Like it's like, oh, okay, cool. I guess you guys did a story. Thanks.
Yeah, Origins is a horrible comic. Wolverine Origins. So Phantom X is basically saying how you know, talking about what happened with the world, or again, like the human species is dying. Their hope lies in a machine fusion. And a program-sustained mutant extermination. So the idea here is that they're creating people to kill mutants, which we know, but it's humanity explicitly doing it to kill this. And he talks about how people become sentient here. You know, you're told that you're like basically in the center of the earth, like nothing beyond the glass dome. It's just rock here. And he reads a little diary from Weapon 13, who is the one in the tunnel. Who, you know, fucked with Madrox and killed, you know, what's her head? Black Star or Dark Star. There we go. Killed her, which is like interesting. Like, oh, like they shouldn't have made me so smart, or I might have believed them.
Yeah.
Like basically, this is getting out of control in like a Frankenstein way.
But you should note, like, he finds this letter, this audio log, if you will, by like prying open a very specific panel in like this abandoned building. That, like, and that's all happening. And this is what I'm saying. Like, it's really like, did he know? Like, what is the like? How did he know that this note was there? How did he know that 13 lived there? Because Phantom X, like, he hasn't been back to the world since he was put on the train. And generations have passed since then. Like they have fast forwarded through a bunch of time, which is kind of interesting. But like, I just don't like some of the stuff. I just don't get. I guess maybe that's why you were saying it feels underdeveloped, and it does. So
yeah. I just wanted to slow down a little bit. Like the first half of this is just people explaining things that we should already know in kind of a conversation while they walk through a city. And like, I am down for a high dialogue issue, of course. You know, I'm into that. But it just it feels a little bit less deft than Grant Morrison's work with other artists. After he reads this, Wolverine shows up again. He basically just saying like he's been reconnoitering, and everyone's dead. You know, like all the AIM agents who showed up, we talked about them. They were dead. All the regular citizens, like people are just dead. You know, Weapon 15's been through here, and everyone is fucked up.
Yep. They're about to move towards. They're about to move when they realize one AIM agent is still alive, and he has locked himself into the control room. And he activates time, which causes Scott to immedially barf as things become alive around him.
And which
then,
I love. Like,
yeah, me too. Yeah,
like of course that's got to feel fucking weird.
Yeah,
you know? Like
there's a bit. I know you don't watch any of this, and I don't recommend that you do either, but all of the DC stuff just had their big Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. And there's a running bit with one of the Arrow guys, Dig, and the Flash. Whenever they get together, and Flash has to like run him somewhere, he immediately pukes afterwards, like every single time. And I love that like superpowers having a negative physical effect to just normal fucking people. Like, oh god,
oh yeah.
Like when they introduced Plastic Man, anytime Plastic Man used his powers for like the first 10 episodes, everyone would go, "Oh, that's so gross."
It is super gross, man. I love in Ecstatics, like whenever the team gets teleported, everyone gets sick.
Yeah.
And then
Same
like if
thing.
she gets tired, like she's like literally is doing uppers, like popping capsules under her nose to be awake enough to teleport people.
It's really great.
So, yeah. So time starting up, and we get a little like mini boss fight with this car cop, this whale machine thing. And they get into a fight. And it's, you know, kind of like a not great action scene in terms of comprehensibility.
Yeah. I do like the look of the car cop.
Oh, totally.
Like it still looks cool, and it looks cool in action, especially those weird tentacle eyes that it has. But like trying to figure out what's happening is really, really difficult. And like Scott is flying, and the second panel, the little inset panel, Wolverine is like at 8 o'clock for some reason. Like, why are you rotating? And it's just really difficult to follow. And then even afterwards, like I guess they blew it up. And like there's still just a bunch of like random like it really feels like a PS4 game, right? Like doesn't it feel like Bloodborne?
It's very cluttered. All-purpose explosions happening at all. Like they're just oops all squibs. You know. Then what this basically, you know, does is Phantom X is like, you could have helped us, you know, Cyclops, and Cyclops is throwing it back at him being snarky. Like, my moment didn't get here yet. And they're continuing to kind of rattle sabers, with Phantom X dropping the bomb that like, hey, you know, the fact that time is going now means Weapon 15 is free.
Yes. Logan apologizes to Cyclops, and Cyclops is like, yeah, you didn't do anything to get me here. Like, of course you didn't mean to do this. You just got me drunk and kidnapped me and ran me to this weird experimental place. Like, you may not have meant to do this, but you definitely did. And then we finally see Weapon 15, which I think is maybe the most disappointing character design in this entire series.
Yeah, it's a guy.
It's a guy.
He's wearing a suit, like a leather, like a, you know, weird rubber suit, and he's got electricity.
He's got I played that Final Fantasy VII remake demo that came out recently, and I've only played that a little bit of the original game, and of course I don't really pay attention to a lot, but I didn't realize like Cloud had little bolts coming out of his like shoulder cover thing, and this dude has the same. This dude is very Cloud Strife in this. Like he's just got a lot of bolts sticking out for no reason. I'm surprised he's not wearing a belt.
Well, yeah, it's a. The reason why they drove him insane is because he can't lay down. Like he can only lay down flat on his back, but if he goes over on his shoulder, it hurts like hell. And that would drive anybody mad.
They spent generations creating this character, and he evolved to have like knives on his toes, right? Like, I'm glad he figured out that kicking somebody in the balls could be slightly worse with a knife on your boot. Like, good job,
he
fellas.
He does have little spikes on his feet. What's he gonna do with those?
It's what the
Heath Ledger Joker has.
Yeah.
He got a fucking X-23.
Yeah, dude, and like, do you think like looking because he's got his fist clenched and he's got little bolts coming out, but the bolts look just like his normal fingers? Like, do you think that's just an extra finger on the back of his hand, like that just sticks up all the time?
Man, I hope Generations of Evolution give us a weird thumb on the back of our hand. Like the selfie thumb.
God.
You just to
God,
like grip your phone.
Thumb. Yeah. What if we evolve an extra appendage to hold our iPhone better? Like that's going to be what this would be like, right? Like
this Dave Barry bit needs to end. Can't keep this up. But anyway, if I were going to have an extra finger anywhere on my body, I think what I would like, and this is assuming I can't just have one that's just parallel to my regular fingers, because that'd obviously be, you know, pretty easy to deal with. I think I'd have one like by my toes. Like, what if you had like, you know, big toe
down there?
Yeah, just like a little guy.
Yeah,
you know, just like one very articulate finger down there.
Because like everybody that's ever like used their legs has tried to like pick up something with their toes to various degrees of success.
Oh yeah,
and I used to know people that would brag about like, oh yeah, I could pick up anything with my toes, and I'm like, that's a weird brag, dog. Like that's
extremely weird.
Like you should play more Nintendo.
Like, why?
But yeah, like I think that'd be a good spot, or I guess the hands would be okay, or really like I just kind of want another hand like near my shoulder, so I could just like hold stuff close to my mouth and still use like my two hands for other stuff. Like if I could hold a burger up here by my mouth and just take a bite every once in a while still using my two hands, it'd be great.
Like one of those things that allow you to play a harmonica without using your hands.
Yeah, I want to be a one-man band, but for food. Does that exist?
Yeah, a one man manwich, one band manwich. Yeah, like, I think it'd be pretty sweet. Even then, though, you couldn't lay on your shoulders though, because those arms would be in the way. You know.
I mean, yeah, but like, it's like I'm 40. I'm never comfortable in bed anyway. Like, my whole body is falling apart. Like, I'm okay with that.
I'm just saying, while we're wishing, let's have them retract.
Ooh,
you know?
I don't know, man. Like anything that retracts in and out of your body is like immediately 50% weirder because it's just hidden.
Stop subtweeting my dick, dude.
I'm just saying, you have a weird dick. I'm sorry. I don't know why it didn't come up before now.
Just saying. Just telling it like it is. I'm the Bill Maher of your dick. I just like to tell the truth.
Oh man, I'm just picturing like you have the Bill Maher dick and I have the Dennis Miller dick, and like we should just go on tour together.
Just a horrible tour, just like us standing on either side of the stage, and then just kind of like dropping our dicks onto like a pedestal on each side, and then just staying there and letting them exist. While we stand with like in tuxedos with our arms crossed behind our back with our eyes closed. Every once
in a while, just looking at each other and making eye contact and just nodding solid, like, "Yep, that was a good one. You got it."
And then every once in a while, the audience just applauds, but like to outside observers, nothing has changed.
Oh no, it's coronavirus rules. The audience is empty. We are only doing this for ourselves.
It's coronavirus rules. Well,
so yes, we are introduced to Weapon 15, and the first thing it says is, "Look, I have broken the world," and he rolls up on our crew. And he's kind of going through an existential crisis on his own. Like he doesn't know if this is real. He doesn't know what's real. He doesn't know if he's been lied to. But he knows that something is going on and that something weird is happening. He asked if Phantom X is real, and he like responds like, "Oh, we might be neighbors. I grew up here." And he's like, "This is all gibberish. Like we're gonna make a new new world, and then it's time to fight." And he like electrocutes Phantom X essentially.
Yeah, I love the line from Phantom X where he's like, "We're doomed." He doesn't have a sense of humor, which is really good. And he zaps him with electricity, which is pretty pedestrian for something that's supposed to be the gravest threat that has ever existed.
Yep.
Electric powers. But Wolverine, is going a little crazy here. These big bad mutant killing machines are all the same. Goes into a rage to attack him while Cyclops tries to get Phantom X up.
Yeah, and this is like a good example of like my problem with this book is this page of Wolverine attacking Weapon 15, because Weapon 15's dialogue, and he's basically just standing still while Wolverine's going all berserker on him. He's like, "These new encounters suggest puzzles I must solve, equations of brute force, calculus of conquest, annihilation." Like some interesting stuff of like, this dude is attacking me and I have to figure it out. But the art is just kind of like there and okay, and it doesn't like all of this action scene stuff just doesn't really work for me very well.
It feels like a missed opportunity to me, because I think it would have been cool to have, we're being sold on this guy's power if he had just been standing stock still, and then we had just seen Wolverine try a bunch of different attempts to attack him and having him be nonplussed. Yeah. The fact that the camera angle keeps changing to kind of show more excitement kind of makes it look a little bit like he's fighting back. Mm-hmm. It's just very hard to tell what's happening. Like it looks like Wolverine's cutting through him, but as we're going to find out, this is all pointless. Like Wolverine's not able to hurt him here. So it doesn't communicate what it feels like it's supposed to communicate. And then we get a weird, like if this were a video thing where it like breaks we switch over to another scene where he electrocutes Wolverine, but now he's on the right instead of on the left.
Yeah.
So the camera is swung around, and why? Like it's really disorienting.
Yes.
Here. I can't remember what that's called. It's like the rule of something when people do videography. But
probably rule of
I don't love it.
Maybe something like that.
So what is it?
Rule of thirds? Is that?
Yeah. I think the rule of thirds is for composition.
Oh.
This is like the I don't remember. Somebody's going fucking apeshit.
Yeah. Somebody's pounding their iPhone
the name
against
of
their dashboard right now.
Yeah. Zach Handlin, I know you know.
Yeah.
So Anywho, he zaps everybody. Nobody's doing good. Everybody's kind of recovering. Phantom X basically says, like, I'm not so easily hurt because I keep my nervous system outside of his body. Summons EVA to go. And this is the first time EVA's had like a strong personality, which is them setting the stage for the last arc of this. But he's like, EVA, take control. And EVA's like, I love it when you say that, Phantom X. And EVA takes out the AIM agent that is in the control room. It's not really shown that EVA kills the agent, but with the agents no longer like laying down after this, and learning that Weapon 15 has made it so they cannot stop time again.
Yes,
jam the controls.
I love that this incredibly sophisticated can speed up time, feed genetics directly into the time stream to make mutant sentinels, and splice machine and man together is controlled by a fucking washing machine dial. Like, it's,
yeah.
like, he jammed it by just taking the button and running, right? Like, it's the most
he smashed it. Yeah, it's the button still looks like it would work. It's just kind of in bad shape. I don't know how these controls can be jammed.
He broke it like it's a door switch on a dryer, right? Like, so you can't start the dryer with the door open or something.
The microwave doesn't shut all the way anymore.
Yeah.
The world is broken. So Scott's freaking out. If he gets free, like, this is going to be like Genosha, millions dead. And Scott's like, this is my moment. His powers still aren't working, but he attempts to beat the shit out of Weapon 15 with a pipe. And we get another, like, kind of repeat page, of just kind of an action thing. And this one is also like breaking whatever that rule is constantly. It's really hard to kind of keep the blocking straight in it.
And it's also like it's like 12 small panels, 12 small squares, each a different action shot. And Weapon 15 is talking through it like target, identify mutant, like mutant, and then he just goes more Slugfest default 0, more like, and I'm like, what the fuck are you like? What are you trying to get across to me? And
that more Slugfest default 0 is definitely some Grant Morrison-esque fucking like skin dialogue, or tattoo rather, or whatever her name was. Like, Zeitgeist, I'm ultra cool, blasted to the nubile. Like that's Grant Morrison trying to be cool.
And like Cyclops, the interesting thing here, and that Cyclops calls out, is like, if you've got all these fancy powers, like, why are you trying to punch me? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And I kind of wish we knew more about why that is, because they just kind of brush it off, and then like in a little bit we're going to go to space, and that's it. Like, we don't talk about what's behind Weapon 15s and stuff anymore, which is kind of frustrating.
So we get a little bit about his origins, and my guess, and this is something the book should have totally laid out though, is that like he was made for killing mutants, but we later learned that this guy was basically programmed to be Superman in a way. And this is part of his existential crisis. Like, I think he knows he could kill Scott. He knows he could kill all these people, and he's not doing it because he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. Like, the next page, he's like talking about there must be more than this. I was born for more than this, and he did like, this is small potatoes, I think is the idea. But it doesn't really draw a line under that. He, blasts off up into space, and we get one of my favorite pieces of art in this whole run with him bursting out of the dome.
Yes.
This is a great, like, I would do a poster of this. I love this.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is super great. And like the decision he has to make here, which I also find very like kind of cool, is, do I trust my own intelligence, my own sentience that's telling me there's something outside of the world, or do I trust these creators that have told me there's nothing but solid rock? And if that's the case, I'm going to smash myself to bits trying to escape. And of course he doesn't. He breaks through this glass, and he's in the sky. He's in the night sky, and it's just a real gorgeous, like, 2-page spread.
Yep. So Phantom X says it's not too late. Like, he had a failsafe in case he broke. Look, we're trying to track him. Scott's taking this really hard because he let somebody get away, and it's going to cause this genocide. Phantom X has his eye on the prize, basically saying no one's ever been able to find the center of the Weapon Plus system on Earth. We know why, because it's in space.
Yes.
And Weapon 15 is flying out. He looks out, he sees a satellite. He says, all of this is mine. And that's the end of the issue.
Yep. And that's it. I think we had some problems with that. Like, my main issue with this arc so far is mostly that I just don't get enough of the history. Like, you could have done a world miniseries that was literally just a documentary, and I would be so into it. Like, it wouldn't even have to have any villains like leading up to this, and I'd be more into it. Or just a better design for Weapon 15. But I do remember when I read this the first time, getting very excited, like seeing this thing existing in space and being like, oh shit, yeah, of course it's in space. I'm like, why would anybody ever look for this shit on Earth?
It's pretty silly. And the next issue, the 4th issue, is my favorite. Well, the first issue in this run is my favorite. The one where they're just at the bar. That's wonderful. I think the middle two are a little sloppy. And I think this last one we just did, the thing that's sloppy about it is it has 2 extended fight scenes, which are like not Chris Bacalo's forte. That are not very fun to watch and don't accomplish very much. Like them fighting the whale cop and them fighting Weapon 15, we don't get a lot of information. It's a weird issue where like we spend a lot of time just sitting around talking and just like straight up giving exposition. And then, that's half the issue. And it's a little clumsy because we have stuff like Phantom X, like prying out the secret panel to find a paper, like a piece of paper, which Weapon 13, that gigantic, like brain-headed guy, wrote with a pencil. Like, can you imagine him just like handwriting this fucking thing?
Just imagine him having to sharpen the pencil.
Yeah. Like, why go? Doing that. And then, we get another fight with Weapon 15 where we get a little bit of like tantalizing glimpses of Weapon 15, but Weapon 15 is going to die here in an issue.
Yeah.
In a half. Like we're not, Weapon 15 is not a character. So these 2 middle issues I think are pretty weak. The first one and the 4th one, the one we're doing next time, I think is pretty cool because of the ideas. And again, this feels like Grant Morrison, like a rejected Vertigo pitch or something to me. Like it feels like something that could be an entire run or an entire like premise for a mini series, not a run.
Sure.
But the Super Sentinels like that they're creating and stuff are very cool to me. And there are little tantalizing hints that are like pure Grant Morrison goodness in the next issue.
Absolutely. And we'll be back with that in a few days. In the meantime, if you want to support the show directly, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. A few bucks a month would be extremely appreciated. It goes into all of our cocaine and hookers budget.
Hell yeah.
And it it pays the bills is what it does. So thank you for each and every one of you that has done that. And if you're considering doing that, check out that link. You can also rate and review us on Apple Podcast or various other services if you feel like that. Gary, we briefly talked about this in text. Is now the time we should ask people for feedback on New X-Men?
Oh yeah. We're gonna do a feedback episode. We're gonna do like a run on it. Hit us up with your thoughts on this run.
Yes.
Because we're going to do a wrap-up episode where both we talk about the run kind of like in total, what we liked about it, what we didn't, what kind of stuck, what didn't, and stuff in the X-Men as far as we know. Neither of us are super up on current X-Men, but we're mildly so. But we also want to hear what you think about it. So there are usual channels for that, and Jeremy knows them.
Yes.
Because I don't do this part of the admin.
daysoffuturecast.com/contact is the best way to do that. You can also, I think it's dofcpodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us directly. I try to store all of that stuff, so don't hesitate. Just go ahead. You don't have to wait for the end of the season or anything. Just go ahead and shoot it out now. You can also DM us on Twitter, which is also DOFC Podcast. You can follow us and talk to us over there as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll be back next time with the conclusion of Assault on Weapon Plus.